All right, let's jump right into this explainer because there is a massive, quiet shift happening in the tech world right now. For the last couple of years, we've been fed the exact same story on repeat. AI is coming for your job, and a digital worker is infinitely cheaper than a human one. But the biggest tech giants are suddenly waking up to a completely different reality. Today, we're going to look at the hard data and see why these massive companies are realizing that you, yes, the human worker, are actually their best financial asset. The whole great AI replacement narrative, it just hit a massive brick wall. And honestly, it all comes down to the budget.
Just look at the incredible irony playing out in real time right now. Earlier this year, Meta fired around 8,000 people, largely to free up cash for a staggering $145 billion push into AI infrastructure. But get this, just months after handing out thousands of pink slips to fund the AI revolution, Mark Zuckerberg goes on camera and completely walks back the narrative, flat out stating that replacing humans is not inevitable. It's a mind-blowing contradiction. I mean, the very men building the machines don't even seem to fully trust the technology themselves. And we're seeing this fascinating divide between what Silicon Valley projects and what physical traditional industries are actually experiencing on the ground. On one hand, you have companies like Meta acting like automation is already flawless and letting thousands go. But contrast that with the auto industry. Ford rolled out AI for their quality control, quickly realized the machines simply weren't catching everything, and they literally had to bring back 350 human engineers. We're witnessing a massive, expensive trial and error experiment, and the physical industries are already pivoting back to human capital. So this begs a massive question. Why are the richest, most advanced tech companies on the planet quietly pulling the plug on their own internal AI tools? Why are firms with basically endless resources secretly admitting they can't even afford to keep their own digital workers switched on? Well, it's not because they've lost faith in the product itself. The answer is completely hidden in the sheer, staggering cost of keeping these models running. Let's put this into perspective. 4 months. That is all the time it took for Uber to burn through its entire AI coding budget that was meant to last through 2026. They rolled out AI tools to thousands of their engineers, and adoption skyrocketed so fast that Uber's chief technology officer personally torched $1,200 worth of computing tokens in a single 2-hour demo. The money just vanished, basically instantly. And hey, it's not just Uber holding the bag here. Look at Microsoft's rapid retreat. Back in November 2025, they signed a massive $5 billion deal with Anthropic and handed their engineers access to top-tier AI. Fast forward a few months to May 2026, and Microsoft is already yanking those licenses back. By June 30th, conveniently right at the close of their fiscal year when everyone is hunting for cost to cut, engineers were forced onto cheaper internal tools. The AI was just too good, too popular, and way too expensive to sustain. A lot of this runaway spending was actually driven by this bizarre corporate culture phenomenon called token maxing. At places like Amazon and Meta, they set up internal leaderboards to rank employees by how much they spent on AI. Using it heavily became this weird badge of honor. It created a classic tragedy of the commons. Everyone treated AI usage like a competitive sport to climb the ranks, completely ignoring the massive financial toll that was silently building up behind the scenes, a fraction of a cent at a time. And man, that toll was absolutely devastating to the bottom line. According to Wall Street Journal numbers, the margins were completely collapsing. Microsoft was bringing in $10 a month for a Copilot subscription, but they were losing an average of $20 per user. And for the heavy users, it cost Microsoft $80 a month. The very demand these massive tech firms are spending hundreds of billions to capture is the exact same demand that is destroying their profit margins. I mean, think about it. It's literally the business equivalent of selling $20 bills for $10 and promising, hey, don't worry, we'll make it back on volume. It doesn't matter how many you sell, the more you scale, the faster you bleed cash. Big tech is now on course to spend roughly $1 trillion building out AI infrastructure, basically creating a machine that inherently loses money on every single job it performs. So you really have to ask yourself, what expensive problem does all this money actually solve? You see, the real danger to corporate budgets isn't a simple chatbot. It's autonomous AI agents that get stuck in failure loops. Unlike a chat prompt that just clicks the meter once, an agent actively chases a goal. It finds a bug, proposes a fix, fails, rethinks, tries a new path, and fails again. Because it operates in a continuous loop until it decides the job is done, a difficult task can burn through 5 to 30 times the computing tokens, sometimes inexplicably spiking past 1,000 times normal usage. And the crazy part? It bills you for every single misstep. And here is the absolute kicker. 50%. That is the absolute best pass rate AI agents currently have on industry-standard coding tests. They solve less than half of the real-world software problems they're given. So the priciest part of using AI isn't the work that succeeds, it's the massive volume of work that fails, loops back on itself, and drains the budget without ever fixing a single line of code. To really wrap your head around this, just imagine hiring a plumber who charges you his full hourly rate every single time he drops his wrench, bills you for every single time he walks out to his van to get a tool, and after all of that, he leaves your pipe leaking anyway. You wouldn't call that a time saver. You'd call it a total scam, right? Well, at the scale of a multi-billion-dollar company, this failed agent loop operates exactly like that terrible plumber. Now, tech companies obviously know this is happening, which is why they are desperately trying to build cheaper hardware, but they are slamming headfirst into what's known as the inference wall. Even as new chips like Microsoft's Maya 200 make processing about 30% cheaper, the AI agents stacked on top of them demand exponentially more power to function. Basically, every bit of hardware savings is immediately swallowed up by the software's ravenous demand for raw thinking power. And the scale of this power demand is just staggering. Listen to this admission from Brian Catanzaro, a vice president at NVIDIA, the very company making the chips powering this entire boom. He explicitly admits that the chips and power to run the AI revolution now cost more than the people working on it. When the executives selling the shuttles admit that the machine is no longer the cheap part of the equation, yeah, you know a massive paradigm shift has occurred. The machine is the expensive part now. You are cheap. Businesses are slowly waking up to this reality too. Data from the Cambridge Center perfectly captures this huge gap between hype and implementation. While a massive 81% of institutions adopted AI, a staggering 2/3 of them completely failed to shift their organizational strategy to actually use it properly. We've totally confused technological capability with organizational reality. Downloading an impressive AI app is incredibly easy. Redesigning a complex human business to utilize it efficiently is incredibly difficult. Which brings us to the mathematical reality that is actively protecting human jobs right now, the efficiency paradox. Think about it. If a junior human worker gets faster and doubles their output, their salary basically stays the same. Your costs remain perfectly stable. But if an autonomous AI agent is asked to double its output, its token bill jumps exponentially because of all the extra reasoning steps involved. Humans and machines scale on completely different cost curves, which makes human workers highly predictable and incredibly cost-effective. And when we zoom out to the macroeconomic level, the data confirms this. The Yale Budget Lab is seeing absolutely no statistically significant economy-wide labor disruption. Now, the Dallas Fed does note a 13% decline, specifically in entry-level, AI-exposed jobs for younger workers. So the disruption isn't happening evenly, it's highly selective. Just like electricity redesigned factories rather than eliminating them completely, AI is going to redesign the office. It's proving that the future belongs to a blend of humans and machines, not just one or the other. Because AI still hallucinates and runs up these massive, completely unpredictable bills, a brand new role is emerging. The verification specialist is rapidly becoming the most valuable seat in the building. The whole dream of the fully self-running digital worker is pretty much dead. Instead, companies desperately need a human babysitter, someone who can catch the agent when it slips into an expensive failure loop and stop it before it literally bankrupts the project. Ultimately, it all boils down to one fundamental truth. Humans are the cheapest thinking engine on Earth. You have a highly flexible, incredibly adaptable mind that runs on a simple sandwich and a decent night's sleep. You don't bill your company 1,000 times over just to sit and think about a difficult problem. The great AI replacement wasn't defeated by regulations or union pushback. It was defeated by a simple spreadsheet that proved, time and again, human beings are the budget option. So I want to leave you with a final provocative question to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. If a digital worker requires a full-time human babysitter just to prevent corporate bankruptcy, who is actually replacing whom? When that massive computing bill finally arrives at the end of the month, it becomes glaringly obvious that human workers aren't just surviving this AI revolution. We are the ones actively subsidizing it. Thank you so much for joining me, and always remember to look beyond the hype and follow the budget.